I'm Anu.
And I'm Maiwa. And do you have to dance every time?
And you're welcome to this edition of the Scholars Diary, your favorite YouTube show. If you are an applicant. On today's episode, we have put together a mock Chevening interview for you guys.
Yeah, basically that's actually to give you like a sense of the interview, to give you a feel, to know how this interview is actually going to turn out.
After putting together an amazing episode filled with the top tips from different amazing Cheveners from across the UK, we thought it a good idea to have a mock interview for you guys, for those of you who have no one to practice with. But
Well, basically this is actually to give you a sense of the interview, as we said earlier. And of course, we like to appreciate every scholar who participated one way or the other.
Thank
in that particular
you.
interview.
Let's give them the Wakanda thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
However, I would like to state, there's a disclaimer.
Yeah.
This is in no way the view of Chevening or the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. This is purely based on our experience or our experiences, because there will be other Cheveners in this video. So it's based on our experiences during our various interviews, that we came together and put this together to help you guys.
We really, really hope that you find it useful. It gives you a sense of what you should prepare for and how you should prepare.
Yeah, it's a very crucial stage. We know you guys are sort of nervous, but calm down, guys. We've got you, and we wish you the best as you go in for the interview. So, let's do this. I'm dabbing out. Hello.
Hello.
Are you Olamewachi Gideon?
Yes, I am.
Right, come with me.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I'm fine.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Welcome to your Chevening interview.
Thank you very much.
We were very impressed by your application, and we want to conduct a one-to-one interview with you to see what's more there is to see.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, but first, before that, we're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Abdullah. I work here at the embassy, and
I'm Geisha. I'm a Chevening alumna.
I'm Maiwa, of course. I just finished from the UK last night, and I'm just here for a few interviews, and I'll be traveling back very soon.
Okay, so great to meet you.
okay.
Great to meet you too.
In case you need to jot down anything while I'm working.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we wish you the best of luck in this interview and in the rest of the application process.
Thank you.
First of all, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, why you chose the UK, and why do you want to pursue the Chevening scholarships?
Thank you very much. My name is Gideon Olarewaji, and I'm an educational development practitioner and a specialist in designing and implementing educational projects, especially for poor and vulnerable children in rural communities. Even though I had my first degree in biochemistry, a personal story motivated me starting an organization that worked predominantly to provide access to quality education, especially for children in rural communities. So over time, I've been able to work with over 6 schools in 6 communities, and we have reached over 6,000 students in that period. I'm also a member of the World Economic Forum Global Pass community, also a UNESCO Young Leader for Education for Sustainable Development, as well as a trained entrepreneurial leadership educator from the African Leadership Academy in Johannesburg, South Africa. I believe the Chevening Scholarship will give me a great opportunity to develop myself further, both personally and professionally, develop more academic expertise and professional competence to be able to professionally create solutions to the problem of educational challenges in Nigeria, particularly to close the educational gap, especially between those who are living in urban centers and those who are living in rural communities. And I believe as a prestigious scholarship as it will give me a great opportunity to network with like-minded individuals, connect with world-class professors, and at the same time have the opportunity to learn in an academically challenging environment such as the United Kingdom.
So Gideon, you've mentioned about networking.
Yes, thank you.
And we would like to know if there was an instance in the past that you've used these networking skills, and can you tell us how the outcome was?
Okay, so in the course of my professional journey, I've been able to understand that networking transcends beyond just building mere connections, but it's about forging lifelong relationships. And the professional accomplishments and my personal accomplishments, I've been able to buttress that fact that indeed networking is crucial if you want to deliver change as a young leader. I remember in 2015 when I met my mentor, Innocent Honor, who happens to be a former member of the World Economic Forum Global Shippers Community. He works for the Senate President, and being my mentor, he was able to introduce me to His Excellency, and through that connection, I was able to connect with the Senate President and the Office of the Senate Presidency, who saw a need in the kind of work that I do as an educational development practitioner. And through the support, I was able to attend a conference in South Korea representing Nigeria as a youth representative. And at that event, I was able to make two significant connections that really buttress the fact that I can leverage well on my networking skills. The first one is with a lady called Trastica McGray. Trastica runs an NGO in the US, and when we established contacts at the conference, I was able to tell her about the work that I do in Nigeria and the impact we have been able to make and the support that we need. And it was interesting to know that Trastica runs a similar project such as what I do in Nigeria, and we were able to exchange contacts. Interestingly, Trastica will be coming to Nigeria next year. We have been able to exchange ideas over the internet, and I'm able now to bring her to Nigeria to be able to build up on the work that we're doing. She's going to be training some of our volunteer teachers on how they can leverage on their skills and to develop themselves to become competent volunteers. Now, the second one is the connection I made at the same event with the head of the Education for Sustainable Development section at UNESCO. His name is Alexander Licite, and I asked him, funnily, a question on a panel, which he answered, but because he didn't answer in full details, I was able to walk up to him. I wasn't shy. I walked up to him after the conference, since networking can be useful at any point in time. So I walked up to him and I introduced myself. He was impressed with the kind of work I do in Nigeria. And recently, in October, he nominated me for an event in Thailand to speak on a panel on the influence of young people in promoting access to quality education. So I have no doubt whatsoever that if I'm given the opportunity to become a Chevening scholar, I can leverage on this great networking skill, the Chevening community, for the Chevening Alumni Association of Nigeria, as well as the Nigerian community as a whole.
Mr. Gideon. Yeah, speaking about your work that you've done, you've just spoken broadly about it. So what exactly is this whole, what exactly is the work you do?
Okay, thank you very much. The idea of what I do as a practitioner is to ensure that we can bridge the gap for those who are living in rural communities and those who are living in the urban centers. So what I do predominantly is to identify schools in rural communities who lack basic technical and infrastructural support to have access to education. The model that we use is called a resource mobilization model. And an example of how we are able to do that is at Akpete Community High School in Ibadan. This school is one, it's just the only school serving the O3 community in that vicinity, and we saw that for a school like that serving a population of 1,000 students, they do not have libraries, students sit on the floor, they do not have modern toilet facilities. And as a practitioner myself, I understand the connection between this and building learning outcomes. So what I did was to identify these needs, went back to the drawing table with my team, and we were able to come up with sources of how we can mobilize resources to create that change. And as a function of that move that we made, we were able to create a library for them, provided books. We partnered with MTN Foundation to provide over 250 tables and chairs in the school. With the support of the National Library Board of Nigeria, we were able to get books.
Excellent. Okay. So going back to the topic of your studies in the UK, would you mind reminding the panel of your 3 course choices in the UK that you want to study?
Absolutely. So I selected International Education and Development at University of Sussex, Educational Planning and Economics at University College London, and International Development and Education at Newcastle University.
Newcastle.
Yes.
That's great. And tell us more, why do you think you're the ideal candidates for any of these courses? And just tell us more about the courses in general and the university and the reasons behind your choices, all 3 of them.
Okay, thank you very much. So for each of my choices, I have 3 basic reasons why I've selected each of the courses. For University of Sussex, 3 reasons. For UCL, 3 reasons. And Newcastle University. But because the University of Sussex is my main choice, which is my first choice, I'm going to say all the 3 reasons. And for the other 2, I'm going to mention the most important reasons why I've selected them. For University of Sussex, the first thing that stood out for me was that I aspire someday to be an international educational consultant, working to provide innovative solutions to challenges of educational inequity across the world. And I've identified 2 principal officials currently in the global education space, Professor Kwame Ayempong and Professor Yusuf Syed, both of African descent, one from South Africa and the other from Ghana, who are currently on the Global Monitoring Education Report of UNESCO. I look up to them as international consultants, and I believe that them being part of the faculty at the Center for International Education at the University of Sussex will go a long way to catapult my professional goals. So that is the first reason. Those 2 personalities are being part of the faculty in that university influenced my decision. The second reason is the fact that currently in the Global South, in which Nigeria is a part of, the University of Sussex is a leading institution in terms of designing and implementing educational solutions for the region, the Global South. The Center for International Education that is situated at the University of Sussex is at the forefront of research for educational development across the world. And I think that is principally important for my career plans and for my professional development. Now, the third reason is the fact that when I researched online, the University of Sussex is one out of a few universities in the UK that has got both residential and academic buildings in one location. Now, being a Nigerian, I understand what it means for you to wake up at 8:30 and have a lecture at 8:45, and you leave home within that short time and get to your lecture room. So I think I like the fact that everything is in one location, so it makes the learning rigor a little bit reduced. And one thing I should also mention is the fact that they have a great Nigerian Student Society, which I've seen online on their Facebook page, and I think that would be a good support system for me when I'm home away from home. Now, for the University College London, I can't shy away from the fact that the institution is ranked the first in the world when it comes to education. But I believe the reasons I've highlighted for the University of Sussex actually outweighs that of the University College London. And London is a great city, and I believe the presence of world-class libraries and a well-coordinated transport system is another interesting thing about the city, and I think I selected that the option because of that. The very last reason which I selected, the very last option, which is the Newcastle University, is just one basic reason. Now, one of the critical work of the development Department for International Development in Nigeria is their project on DEEPIN. It's called Developing Effective Private Education in Nigeria, and it is trying to bring forth the significance of private schools in providing access to education for children in disadvantaged communities. Professor James Tully, who championed this research of a solution working in Nigeria, is actually a lead professor at the Newcastle University. So I see that him learning firsthand from an individual like that will give me the opportunity to be able to come back home, back to Nigeria, to see how we can leverage on the power of private schooling to close the educational gap in the country.
Okay, so Gideon, you've mentioned that you want to take international education.
Yes.
So how do you think this is relevant in your country? What is your ultimate goal in studying this course, and how do you think it will benefit your country when you come back from studying in the UK?
Okay, thank you very much. I once shared how painful it is for me to know that the highest number or the highest number of out of school children in the world is actually in Nigeria. If we need to break the genes of ensuring that every child have access to equal educational opportunities, there is need for educational practitioners like myself to understand what exactly is happening, that the numerous policies that we have is not actually working. What is wrong? You understand? So I'm thinking it is important for me to learn more from world-class lecturers, especially those at the Center for International Education.
Okay, so Mr. Gideon, what would you consider like to be your greatest weakness and your greatest achievement since working in this space, and of course generally as a human?
Okay, my greatest accomplishment would definitely be how I was able to lead a team of over 70 volunteers who are passionate to improve the learning outcomes of a rural school from 13% to 46%. As someone who overcame learning difficulties myself due to the function of lack of access, and I've gone on to represent Nigeria in so many educational conferences across the world, I see what it means for education to be a transformative tool, and for me to be an agent of change who was able to present such opportunity for young people to leave a space of not having access to going to a space where they even have access and now they are performing well. It's a gratifying feeling for me, and I think it's such a huge accomplishment for me. My greatest weakness is the fact that I care too much, which I think, yeah, I care too much, and at times my
Great. Okay, Mr. Gideon. This is all great work that you have done. We congratulate you for it.
thank you.
We want to know, we are particularly interested in how this maps with what the UK is currently doing in your country, Nigeria.
Apart from the opportunity of studying in world-class universities, I think the strong interest the United Kingdom has demonstrated in educational development in Nigeria is what fascinates me, and I think the Chevening Scholarship is a great opportunity for me. Now, over the last 8 years, the United Kingdom have invested heavily in 4 different programs to improve education in Nigeria. The first one is the Education Sector Supports Program in Nigeria, the Developing Effective Private Education in Nigeria, the Girls Education Project, and the Teacher Development Project. Through these 4 different programs, I've seen how the United Kingdom is trying to improve access and quality of education through 4 different dimensions. The first one is girls' education, the second one is teacher development.
Mr. Gideon, of course, we of course understand that the UK is doing heavily in Nigeria.
Yes.
But we also know that some other countries are doing particularly well also within the space. For example, the US, I would assume.
Yeah, through the USID. Yes.
So why not the US? Why not a US scholarship or a US university? Why does it have to be the UK?
Okay, so just like I said, the very first reason is the fact that I want to further strengthen the relationship between the United Kingdom and Nigeria through their foreign policy strategy, which is through the Chevening Scholarship. Another reason will be the fact that my university, just like I've said, which is the University of Sussex that I aspire to attend, is a leading institution in educational research in the world. The very last reason will be the fact of the reputation of world-class research coming from these UK universities, especially the University of Sussex, the University of London, and even Newcastle universities, who are the 3 universities that I've selected.
Okay, what do you think that what can we say you're bringing into the Chevening network?
What I'm bringing to the Chevening network is coming from 2 fronts, from a personal angle and from a professional angle, and I would like to start from the professional angle. I'm a member of 3 different strong global networks that I think my understanding of those networks, I can be able to ensure that the brand, the Chevening brand, is further strengthened. If I become a Chevening scholar, there's a great opportunity for me to tell and inspire other young change makers like myself who are members of the World Economic Forum Global Shapers Community or the UNESCO Education for Sustainable Development Young Leaders Network, or even the Professional certified educators from the African Leadership Academy in South Africa. All these networks are professional networks that I belong to, that the ideal of social change is continually enshrined, and I believe other members of these networks can be inspired through me to also become a part of the Chevening network, which they can go a long way to influence change in their respective home countries. So from a personal angle, I'm skilled when it comes to media and communications. I have a proven track record in leveraging on social media for social change, and I believe my skills can go a long way to help promote the Chevening brand and bring out visibility for the Chevening brand. It is great to know that we have over 1,100 Chevening scholars ever produced from Nigeria since the scholarship started in 1983, and even it's inspiring to know that in the last cohort we have 53 scholars from Nigeria. I believe there are so many passionate and strong-willed young people who can make the country better, who, when they have information about the Chevening brand, will be able to apply to the program and go to the UK to have access to education and come back. So I believe through my work online, through Facebook, I can be able to contribute to the work that the Chevening community is doing both locally and internationally.
You've talked about academic achievements and what academically you aspire to learn from the UK, but Chevening is not only about academics. What else do you know about the UK and about the Chevening network that you can contribute to outside the academic school?
I've read online. I can remember vividly that in the last cohort there is a young lady called Fisayo Aronsiola, who is a Women Deliver Young Leader, and I met her in a conference, and she was one of the people who told me about the Chevening scholarship, and I knew that there are a couple of events called Best of British Wales or Best of British Cardiff, which are networking events that happens across the United Kingdom organized by the Chevening Scholarship. So I believe that apart from academic activities, these are also opportunities to develop both personal skills and professional competence by networking with young people from diverse academic, professional and religious background. But I also have two major aspirations apart from my academics in the UK. The first one is to attend the Education World Forum, which is the largest gathering of education ministers in the world. Mm-hmm. It is interesting to know that the Foreign and Commonwealth Office that also sponsors the Chevening Scholarship is also one of the organizers of the event. So I know quite sure that if I become a member of the Chevening community, it will be easier for me to attend the Education World Forum. The other one is to be the official national flag bearer for Nigeria at the Commonwealth Youth Day service in London, happening in March next year, which I believe is very possible. Being a Chevening scholar, I know I can always leverage on the network to be able to achieve these personal aspirations aside my academic projections in the United Kingdom.
Thank you.
Do you have an admission to any of your schools that you've applied to yet?
Yes, I do. I have an unconditional offer from my first choice, which is the University of Sussex, and a conditional offer from Newcastle University.
Okay, so you've mentioned earlier about the 3 courses that you've picked and also the 3 universities that you aspire to attend.
Yes.
And actually, you have a last chance of changing those universities. If you've ever changed your mind, this is the last chance that you can change the rankings or the courses that you would want to put in the list.
I'm pretty satisfied with the options, yeah.
Okay. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
So basically my career plan, I believe that when I come back equipped with the different knowledge, especially for the education policy and planning module offered at the University of Sussex, I will be able to come back to contribute innovatively to how we can design funding policies.
You've mentioned that you would want to lead, and actually that's one of the attributes that we are looking in a Chevening scholar aside from academic strength and networking skills.
Thank you.
So can you tell me how you can describe a good leader?
how I can describe a good leader.
What do you think the qualities of a good leader
Yeah.
is?
Principally, I think visioneering is one major attribute a leader should have. The ability to identify a problem and the enthusiasm to create a solution to that problem. The ability to take initiative and to be able to identify how solutions can come from a particular problematic situation.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I
that.
think that's it for us today. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions for us?
I do have a question, and I'm going to direct the question to the Chevening alumni on the panel. It is quite interesting to know that the Chevening community has a strong network of 46,000 individuals who have gone on to build inspiring career in different sectors across the world. But it is as well, not unfortunate, but at the same time troubling that there is no particular platform where all these inspiring
Thank you very much, Mr. Gideon, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So about the matters that he has written.
Exactly.